All right, guys. So this is episode 1 of Thor Hansen for computers, and we're going to be overclocking our computer today. So first off, you're going to want to get a few programs. If you have a AMD CPU, you're going to want to get this program called Ryzen Master. You can get it here. Link in the description. And you're going to want to get MSI Afterburner, which you can get it here. MSI website. Link in the description. You're also going to need FurMark and a copy of 3D Mark from Steam. You can get it here on g2a.com for about $10. And you're going to want to open up Ryzen Master or Intel Performance Maximizer. It's going to give you the temperature of your CPU, the CPU core clock speed, and the voltage. You're going to want to open up MSI Afterburner. MSI Afterburner is going to give you all the statistics on your graphics card, GPU clock speed, memory clock speed, voltage, and temperature. And then you're going to need FurMark, like I said before. So to start off, we're going to take the power limit. We're going to drag it up to maximum, and then we're going to take the temperature limit, drag it up to 85 degrees Celsius, and then we're going to take the fan speed. Click this A right here and drag it up to maximum. Click OK. Now this is going to set your fan speed and power limit on your graphics card up to maximum. Your computer is going to get noticeably more loud after you've done this because your fans are now working at their maximum. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take the core clock speed, turn it up by 40, and then we're going to open up either MSI Combustor or FurMark. FurMark is going to stress test your GPU, and your GPU is going to be running for 2 minutes. That's how long you run the test for, to check for stability. Once you've run the test for 2 minutes, if it passes, then you're going to turn up the core clock speed by another 40, up to 80. Now, and you're going to repeat the process again. You're going to run the test for 2 minutes, like we did before, and if it passes, then it's stable. I already know what the clock speeds on my graphics card are because I've already done this before. And then you're going to want to increase it by another 40. Now, up to 120. I already know what mine is at. Mine likes to be at 115, but I'm going to put mine at 150, and I'm going to show you what happens if you overclock it too much. Yeah, you see that? You see that? It just crashed. Because I was overclocking my graphics card too much. Now, let's set this back down to 0. And once you find out, once your graphics card crashes like it just did right there, you're going to take the clock speed and you're going to bump it back down from 150. We're going to go from 150, we're going to set it down to 110. And then we're going to try it again for 2 minutes. And if it passes, then we're going to take, if it passes the 2-minute test, we're going to take the FurMark, close it back down. Then we're going to up the core clock speed by another 10 megahertz, up to 120. Then we're going to stress test it again for 2 minutes, and if it passes, then you found your stable overclock. Because, and okay, now once you find your stable overclock for your core clock speed, you're going to take the save button, click one of the saves right here. I'm going to put it on 3, and then you're going to set everything back down to 0 by clicking the reset button. Take the power limit, drag it up to maximum, click the link button, unlink it right there, and set it to 85. Click the A button, and set the fan speed to 100%. And then we're going to restart everything just like we did before. Now we're going to do the memory clock speed. The memory clock speed, you're going to want to start by putting in 100 megahertz more from the beginning, opening up FurMark, running the GPU stress test for 2 minutes like we did before, and if it passes, then you're going to take the memory clock speed, turn it up by another 100 megahertz, up to 200. And then you're going to run it for another 2 minutes in the stress test to see if it crashes. And you're going to keep repeating this for 2 minutes at a time until FurMark crashes. Then, once FurMark crashes, you're going to take your memory clock speed and you're going to bump it down by 40 megahertz until you can get it to pass the stress test. Let's say my memory clock speed was 500 megahertz. Okay, that crashes my graphics card. So I'm going to take the stress test and then I'm going to run it again. And this one's going to work because I already know what my numbers are. But let's say it crashed. Uh-oh. So we're going to take the memory clock speed. We're going to decrease it by 40. So that would be down to 460. And then we're going to try it again. Let's say it passed this time. Yay! I found my memory clock speed for my graphics card. So we're going to go back over to Profile 3. We're going to put in 460. And then we're going to test then we're going to click OK. And then we're going to test the core clock and memory clock together. Let's open up FurMark again. GPU stress test. We're going to let this run for 2 minutes and see what happens. Then, if it passes the FurMark test for 2 minutes, then you're going to run the FurMark test for 15 minutes. And if it passes the 15-minute stress test, then you're going to go into 3D Mark, which I'm going to put in my numbers right here so you can actually see what I have. Mine overclocks to 115 and 1192 megahertz. But we're going to set it back down to 0 on this because I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. So what we would be doing right now, you would be having your computer overclocked to what you got for the core clock and memory clock speed. You're going to open up 3D Mark. It's going to take a few minutes to load up. Come on. Come on, 3D Mark. Sorry, it takes a few minutes sometimes. Alright, then we're going to go to benchmarks. You're going to install Time Spy. And you're going to go to Custom Run. Turn the Include Demo is going to be on by default. You're going to turn that off. Graphics Test 1, Graphics Test 2, CPU Test. And it's going to by default go to 1440p resolution. That shows you what your graphics card is, what your display is. And just leave everything else right here. Click Details again. And you're going to click Run. Now, you're just going to wait until it loads. Come on, 3D Mark. Come on. All right. There we go. As you can see, 3D Mark Time Spy Graphics Test 1. There's a little frame counter and an FPS counter at the bottom of the screen. It's going to give you the time of how long it's been running for. And while it's stress testing your computer, this is going to be running your graphics card at 100% power. And You're going to get this cool graphic right here of this guy with his little magnifying glass just walking around this museum that has a bunch of cool crystals everywhere. And kind of wish this was a real game because this game looks pretty cool. And it would be something that I would play. The little cage over there with some butterflies in it. Pretty neat. Got some masks there. Some swords back there. Some more masks. And there's like a little Halo guy in that case there with some weapons. Alright, it's going to boot up graphics test 2. Like I said before, 3D Mark is the best benchmarking tool. If you can get your overclocks to pass 3D Mark, your overclock is stable, because this is a good real world benchmarking tool that compares what you would see in games at the absolute limit. Most games are only going to make use of maybe 60-70% of your GPU. This benchmark makes use of 100% of your GPU. It stresses your GPU to its absolute limit. So if your GPU can handle being stressed to its absolute limit in 3D Mark, it will absolutely be able to handle being stressed in your video games when you're playing them on ultra settings. Alright, we let 3D Mark run for a little bit longer. And it's just going to go through that satellite right there. I love that solar system model that's in the middle there. Looks super cool, especially with that really bright light that's a stand-in for the sun. That is awesome. Alright, we're finished up with graphics test 2. Now we're going to go to the CPU test. This one is going to test solely your CPU. There's no graphics card that's being used on this test, and it's just CPU power 100%. Your graphics card is just going to be dormant at this point, just running idle, and your CPU is going to be doing all the work on this test. As you can see, it goes down a little bit right there, but everything's fine. It tests for particles and all the shebang, and then if it passes the 3D Mark test, it's going to give you a score. My score wasn't too good because I'm recording right now, but you could go to estimated game performance. Let's say I want to test Apex Legends 1440p Ultra on max settings. It 110 FPS, not too bad. GTA 5 1440p Ultra 55 FPS. Now, this is going to be higher than normal because I'm running Time Spy also at the same time we're recording, so my score is going to be a little bit lower because the recording software is using some of my CPU and GPU at the same time. But you can go to this graph right here. You can check the temperature limit. You can check the GPU load. As you can see, the GPU load was at 100% through this whole test right here. The GPU memory clock frequency. The memory clock frequency was being used right here. GPU memory clock right here. The frame rates right here. As you can see, my frame rates are relatively high. I mean, I have a good computer. I don't have the best computer in the world, but it's still a good computer by most means. And so, yeah, you can see this is how 3D Mark works. And you can compare your scores with other people on Time Spy on the 3D Mark website. And your computer should be around a few hundred points either below or above average. And you can increase these points by overclocking your computer. This is just the base clock speed with no overclocks for mine. So, yeah, I hope that little tutorial helped you guys out. And you guys should now know the basics of overclocking your graphics card. Thanks for tuning in to Thor Hansen for this computer tutorial, and I will see you next time.